I still remember the sound of her laugh, echoing through the crowded school hall. Emily. The way she leaned back, tossing her glossy hair, eyes glinting with amusement as she pointed at my shoes. Are those, seriously your shoes? She had asked, voice dripping with that perfect mix of mockery and superiority. I wanted to disappear. My worn-out sneakers, frayed at the edges, had never felt so heavy. Yeah, I mumbled, shifting from one foot to the other. My palms were sweaty, my face burning. I felt like everyone around us was watching, snickering along with her. Emily smirked. And your wallet, let me guess, empty? Her words stung sharper than any slap. I bit my lip, unable to meet her gaze. You don't have to be mean about it, Emily, a voice said beside me. Sam, my closest friend since kindergarten, was frowning, hands stuffed in his jacket pockets. He always stood up for me even when I didn't want him to. She's just joking, Sam, I muttered, though my voice barely rose above a whisper. Inside, anger and humiliation churned together like a storm I couldn't control. Sam shook his head. No, she's not. That wasn't a joke. Look at you, she's trying to make you feel small. I glanced at Emily again. She was laughing with her clique, sipping from a soda cup as if she had the world at her feet. I hated her. I hated how easily she could hurt me, how effortlessly she could flaunt her wealth and superiority. And yet, there was something I couldn't shake. A spark. A tiny, stubborn ember of determination. I clenched my fist. I won't stay like this forever, I muttered under my breath. Sam raised an eyebrow. What's that? I looked at him, feeling the warmth of his loyalty. I don't know yet. But I'll make her pay for laughing at me like that. Not with revenge, well maybe, but by proving her wrong. I'm not staying broke. I'm not staying small. He nodded slowly, like he understood more than I was saying. Good. That fire in your eyes, that's what I've always admired about you. The hall bell rang and students started moving toward their classrooms. Emily tossed me one last glance, her smile cruel and perfect, before strutting away. I swallowed hard. Her laughter still rattled in my ears, but now it came with a twinge of fuel for something bigger. Later, sitting on the curb outside school, Sam nudged me. You've been quiet all day. I've been thinking, I admitted, watching a car pass slowly down the street. About what I'm going to do. About how I'll escape this poverty, I guess. Escape. Sam chuckled softly. Like a magic trick? No, I said, shaking my head. No magic. Hard work. Smart choices. Connections. I'll get there. And when I do, she'll see me. She'll see that I'm not just that boy with tattered shoes. You sound like a man with a plan, Sam said, smiling. I'm with you, man. Always. I felt a warmth in my chest at his words. Loyalty like that was rare. Unlike Emily, who only cared about herself. I thought about our childhood, how she used to be fun and kind before money and arrogance warped her. It made me sad and angrier. I can't forget that day, I said quietly. The laughter, the sneer. Every time I close my eyes, I hear it. Sam leaned back, hands behind his head. Then use it. Let it drive you. Not just anger, ambition. You're smarter than she is, even if she thinks her money makes her better. I know, I said, tightening my fists again. I've got to be smarter, faster, stronger. I've got to make sure no one ever looks at me like I'm less than human because of what I own, or don't own. The sky above the empty streets was streaked with pinks and oranges, the sunset painting everything in a soft glow. I felt the weight of my future pressing down, but also a strange excitement. My life wouldn't always be this way. I would rise. And when I did, Emily wouldn't be able to mock me anymore. You really mean it, don't you? Sam asked. I do, I said firmly. I'll change everything. For me, and for everyone who ever looked down on me. He smiled and punched my shoulder lightly. Then let's start planning. No more waiting. I nodded, letting the feeling of determination wash over me. That laugh, that awful, perfect laugh, wasn't going to haunt me forever. It was going to fuel me. And one day, Emily would realize that mocking me didn't make her better. It just made her underestimate me. I looked down at my shoes, frayed and worn, and smiled faintly. Just you wait, Emily. Just wait. I couldn't stop smiling as I walked into school that morning. My hands shook slightly, gripping the envelope like it contained the world. I got it, I whispered to myself. The scholarship, finally. And the part-time job I'd managed to snag at the local bookstore. It wasn't much, but it was my first real step out of the rut I'd been stuck in. I spotted Emily near her locker, surrounded by her clique, all laughter and chatter. I hesitated. Could I tell her? Could I risk showing her I had some good news, hoping maybe, just maybe, she'd be supportive? I took a deep breath. Emily, I called softly. She turned, eyebrow raised. Oh hey, what's up? I, I got the scholarship, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And the bookstore offered me a part-time position. Her smile was sharp, almost predatory. Wow, she said, slow, exaggerated. Really? That's cute. Cute? I asked, frowning. I thought. Emily laughed, tossing her hair. I mean, good for you, I guess. Seriously. Her words sounded almost genuine, and for a second I dared hope. Thanks, I said, relief washing over me. I really... You know, she interrupted, leaning closer, some people might find it suspicious. A boy like you suddenly getting a scholarship? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I blinked, confused. Suspicious? What do you mean? Oh, nothing, she said, stepping back. Her grin widened, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm sure everyone will figure it out. I didn't have time to question it. The bell rang. I walked to class, feeling uneasy but ignoring it. By lunch, the whispers had started. Did you hear? He cheated for that scholarship. No way, that's so gross. Yeah, I saw him begging Mr. Thompson for it. Can you believe it? I froze. My stomach dropped. Mr. Thompson? He had recognized my potential, guided me, and trusted me. How could Emily? I scanned the cafeteria. Emily and her friends were laughing, the ringleader in action, eyes sparkling with mischief. My face burned. I wanted to run, to disappear, but I forced myself to stay. Hey, I muttered, sidling up to Sam. You heard this? He frowned, eyes narrowing as he followed my gaze. Yeah, I heard. What the hell, Emily? I don't. I shook my head, swallowing hard. I don't understand. I told her. I thought she'd encourage me. She's spreading lies. Sam's jaw tightened. I knew she was cruel, man, but this? He paused, glancing toward Emily. You can't let her see it hurts you. It hurts, I admitted, voice breaking slightly. It hurts so much. I trusted her. I shared my first real achievement. And she used it to humiliate me. Everyone's laughing now. Even the teachers are looking at me differently. Sam's hand on my shoulder steadied me. Then prove them wrong. Don't fight with her, not yet. Fight for yourself. You're better than this. I know, I said, forcing myself to breathe. I have to. But the betrayal, it cuts deeper than anything else. I thought we were friends, Sam. I really did. You'll get over it, he said firmly. You'll rise above her. And when you do, she won't see it coming. I clenched my fists under the table, tasting the bitterness of humiliation. My mind raced, circling over the betrayal like a storm. How could someone I once considered a friend do this? And why did it sting so much more than the usual teasing? During the next class, Mr. Thompson approached me quietly. I wanted to tell you I'm proud of you, he said, lowering his voice so no one else could hear. Your scholarship wasn't luck. You earned it. Don't let anyone, not even Emily, make you feel otherwise. I nodded, swallowing hard. Thank you, sir. I'll make sure I don't. He patted my shoulder. I know you will. Keep your head high. Keep working hard. That's how you'll win. By the end of the day, the cafeteria had emptied, leaving me and Sam behind. Emily's laughter still lingered in my ears, but now it felt like fuel instead of poison. The taste of betrayal was bitter, yes, but it ignited something else, something dark and determined. Sam, I said, voice low, almost a growl. This isn't over. I won't just rise above her. I'll make sure she regrets underestimating me. You're serious, Sam said, eyebrows raised. That's the fire I like to see. But remember, slow and smart, not reckless. I know, I said, staring at the floor. But for the first time, I understand what betrayal feels like. And I'll use it. I'll turn this hurt into power. Every laugh, every rumor, it's mine now. I won't let her win anymore. Sam nodded solemnly. Then let's start planning. We've got a long road ahead, but you're ready for it. I looked up, eyes burning with resolve. Emily thought she had won today. She thought spreading lies would break me. She thought humiliation would stop me. She was wrong. And deep down, I felt the first fleeting thought of revenge take root, a quiet, patient seed waiting for the right moment to bloom. I clenched my fists again, smiling faintly despite the ache in my chest. She won't see it coming, I whispered. Not even close. I stared at the test paper on my desk, hands trembling. Red marks, glaring numbers, failure. My stomach churned, throat tight. I had studied, I had tried, but it was no use. Emily's lies, the whispers, the rumors, they had followed me into the exam hall like shadows, distracting me, clouding my focus. I wanted to scream, to rip the paper apart, but I couldn't. Man, this is awful, I muttered to myself. Sam's text buzzed on my phone. You okay? I typed back slowly, unsure if I even wanted anyone to know. By evening, my mother knocked gently on my door. Honey? Can we talk? Her voice was soft, carrying that warmth only a mother could give. I failed, Mom, I said, barely looking up. I don't know what to do anymore. She sat beside me, placing a hand on my shoulder. Sweetheart, failing doesn't define you. You're brilliant. You have potential, more than most people realize. I know, but it's like everything's falling apart. Emily, she keeps ruining everything for me. I can't even focus. I don't think I'm cut out for this. Shoo, she said, stroking my hair. Listen to me. One failure doesn't erase your worth. Don't give up on yourself because someone else is cruel. You have to rise no matter what. I closed my eyes, taking in her words. But her comfort couldn't erase the taste of shame in my mouth. Later, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. Sam's message popped up again. Come outside. Need to talk. I grabbed my jacket and walked into the quiet night, the cold air biting at my cheeks. You're late, Sam said, leaning against the old oak tree in his backyard. His expression was serious. I've been waiting. I didn't know if I could come, I admitted. I feel like giving up. Giving up? You? Sam exclaimed, eyes widening. No. You've got too much fire in you to quit now. You can't let her break you. She's everywhere, Sam. She's ruining me, I whispered. Even today, my exam. I messed it up. It's all her fault and I can't fix it. Then stop thinking about her like that, Sam said firmly. Think about yourself. Your dreams. Your goals. The life you want. You're smarter, stronger, and faster than she thinks. But you have to fight, not just survive, fight. I swallowed hard. I don't know if I can. You can. I know you can. I've seen your work ethic. I've seen your brain in action. Don't waste it by letting her win. I nodded, swallowing a lump in my throat. The night air felt heavier now, thick with possibility and pain. You're right, I said finally. I have to rise. I have to. The next day came with a cruel twist I hadn't expected. Our town's annual community event, families, neighbors, everyone, was supposed to be a celebration. Emily made sure it became a nightmare for me. I was helping set up chairs when she walked past, whispering something to her friends. A few minutes later, laughter erupted near the stage. I froze. She actually got the scholarship? I heard she begged Mr. Thompson to give it to her. Emily's voice carried across the hall, loud and sharp. My chest tightened. Lies? I whispered under my breath, cheeks burning. But Emily wasn't done. She leaned toward her friends and added, I mean, can you believe her family even let her come tonight? Pathetic. The crowd turned, murmuring. Eyes on me, some questioning, some laughing. My mother's face fell, confusion and worry flashing across it. I wanted to vanish, sink into the floor, escape the humiliation. Emily, my mother's voice was sharp, protective. That's enough. Emily smirked, unfazed, and walked away with a dramatic toss of her hair, her clique following. I sank to a nearby bench, shoulders slumping. Shame, anger, and disbelief collided inside me. I couldn't believe she had done this in front of my family, in front of everyone. Sam appeared at my side, leaning down. You okay? He asked quietly. Do I look okay? I muttered bitterly. I can't even look at them. Mom, everyone. I feel worthless. You're not worthless, Sam said firmly. Don't let her define you. Don't let her public humiliation break you. You have to turn this into fuel. That fire you feel? Use it. Make her regret ever touching your life this way. I clenched my fists, gripping the wood of the bench. I will, I said quietly, a dangerous edge creeping into my voice. I don't know how yet, but I will. She's crossed the line this time. And when you rise, Sam said, eyes shining in the darkening evening, she won't see it coming. Not one bit. I nodded slowly, staring at the ground. My mind raced through every insult, every laugh, every whisper. Every single act of betrayal was a brick in a wall I was building, not around me but around my resolve. I wouldn't just recover. I would grow stronger. I would prove Emily wrong. I would make sure the next time she tried to humiliate me, the tables were turned. Sam, I said, voice low and steady, this isn't just about me anymore. This is personal now. She humiliated me, my family, my pride. I'm done letting her get away with it. He nodded, a faint smile on his lips. Good. That's the fire I like to see. Just remember, calm, patient, smart. We'll plan this. Every step, every move will make it count. I took a deep breath, tasting the bitterness of defeat and betrayal, letting it settle into determination. Emily thought she had broken me. She thought she had won. But the fire she lit inside me that night would not die out. It would burn. And when it did, she wouldn't see it coming. The city was loud, overwhelming, and full of possibilities I hadn't dared to imagine. I dragged my suitcase through the crowded streets, the weight of my dreams and the anxiety of my finances pressing down on me. Every neon sign, every honking car felt like a challenge waiting to be conquered. Sam had waved me off at the station. Remember, keep your head high, he had said. City life will test you, but you can handle it. I will, I had promised, though my heart thudded with fear. My first day at college was brutal. Tuition, books, food, rent, all of it loomed like mountains. And the professors didn't make it easier. Professor Martin, my mentor from orientation, observed me during my first seminar. Mr. Carter, he said, peering over his glasses, your ideas are interesting, but you need more confidence. Speak clearly, own your work. Yes, sir, I replied, swallowing hard. I'll do better. Good. I see potential in you. Don't waste it worrying about those who doubt you. I nodded, watching him leave. His faith in me was a lifeline. I needed it. Later that week, in the crowded cafeteria, a classmate approached me. Hey, I saw your presentation. You're really good. How do you do it? Thanks, I said, feeling a rare warmth. I guess I just work hard, focus. That's impressive. Most people here just coast, they said, shaking their head. You're going to go far. For the first time, I realized that not everyone in this city judged by wealth or status. Some saw talent, grit, and determination. It was refreshing. Of course, the city had its challenges. My first assignment deadline came, and I barely had enough money to print my papers. A professor, annoyed by my delay, snapped, Mr. Carter, is this effort or laziness? I apologize, sir, I said, cheeks burning. I'll submit it right away. Professor Martin later pulled me aside. Don't let their attitude discourage you. Resourcefulness counts as much as talent. Learn to adapt. That's how you'll rise. I understand, sir. Thank you, I replied, determination solidifying in my chest. Weeks passed and I began carving a place for myself. Scholarships, small accolades, praise from professors. They were tiny victories, but they mattered. I felt my confidence grow, quietly, like a river carving through stone. Then came the day I saw her. Emily. Out of nowhere, strutting down the busy street near campus, her designer bag swinging, sunglasses perched perfectly. She spotted me and her smile twisted into that familiar mocking grin. Well, look at you, she said, voice dripping with amusement. City life treating you okay? Don't tell me the big city chewed you up already. I studied her, noticing her superficial glow, the arrogance she carried like armor. And I smiled inwardly. She had no idea what I had endured here, no clue about the growth, the battles I had fought, the recognition I had earned. It's different, I said calmly, tone neutral but firm. Challenging. But rewarding. Emily laughed, tilting her head. Rewarding? Come on. I saw you struggling last month. Lines outside the cafeteria, juggling work, rent, trying to keep up. Pathetic. I leaned back slightly, letting her words wash over me without breaking me. I guess you could call it growth. Learning to manage, adapt, survive. It's humbling. Her eyes narrowed slightly. I call it embarrassing, personally. I mean, I don't know how you keep up with city life on whatever tiny budget you have. I smiled faintly, letting the words hang in the air, heavy with unspoken confidence. You'd be surprised how far determination and planning can take someone. It's not about money, Emily. It's about effort and strategy. She scoffed, clearly annoyed that I wasn't flinching. Effort, strategy, blah blah. I guess we'll see how long you last. Maybe we will, I replied, tone calm, voice steady. But unlike you, I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm here to grow, to achieve. Her clique appeared behind her, laughing and whispering. I ignored them. For the first time, Emily's presence didn't intimidate me. Her superficial power, the mockery she relied on, was powerless here. I had earned my place in a world she didn't understand. Later that evening, I met with some new friends from class at the small cafe near campus. You handled her well, one said, sipping coffee. Most people would have snapped or ran away. Thanks, I said, a quiet satisfaction in my chest. It's freeing actually. I realize now I'm not the person she can hurt anymore. I've built something she can't touch. Exactly, another friend said. And trust me, she won't understand that for years. You're miles ahead of her in more ways than one. I smiled, feeling the truth of it. The city had tested me, tried to break me, but every challenge, every rude professor, every skeptical peer had only made me stronger. I had grown silently, confidently. As the cafe emptied, I glanced at the city lights outside the window. The streets that once seemed so overwhelming now looked like a map, full of paths I could choose, challenges I could overcome. And Emily, for all her arrogance, was just a shadow from my past. I won't forget her, I said quietly to myself, but I don't need to fear her. I'm rising while she falters. One day, she'll see the distance I've put between us. She won't even know what hit her. Sam's voice buzzed in my mind, echoing our late-night talks. Calm, patient, smart, every move counts. I nodded internally, letting the resolve settle in. I was no longer the boy she mocked in the school hallways. I was someone new, someone capable. And for the first time, I felt the deep, satisfying thrill of silent confidence, knowing that growth, hard work, and perseverance could never be mocked, never be stolen. I would rise, and Emily would falter. The small office smelled of fresh paint and ambition. Liam, my business partner, was tapping at his laptop, eyes bright with excitement. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" he asked, grinning. "We are," I said, leaning back in my chair, letting the weight of the last few months settle over me. Sweat, sleepless nights, and countless sacrifices had led to this moment. Our startup, small but promising, was finally taking shape. "Honestly," Liam continued, "I wasn't sure you'd jump into this head first. Most people would have chickened out with the risks." I smiled faintly. "I've had practice handling risks. Remember school?" I paused. "Some people almost made me give up before. But I learned to fight, not run." He laughed. "That's putting it mildly. You've got patience, strategy, vision, and maybe a tiny grudge or two fueling you." I shrugged, a faint blush of amusement crossing my cheeks. "Maybe. Motivation comes in many forms. Business wasn't easy. Financial setbacks, supplier issues, and the occasional mistake kept us on edge. But every small victory, the first client, the first profit, praise from mentors, was like a stitch in a new life I was weaving." One afternoon, Liam looked up from his laptop, frowning. "Hey, you're glowing. Something good?" "Just seeing progress," I admitted. "I never thought hard work could feel this satisfying. Even small achievements now feel huge." Liam nodded, leaning back. "That's growth, man. You're not the same kid Emily used to mock." Her name slipped out and I didn't correct him. She was still out there, still a shadow in the periphery, though increasingly fragile. Her job dissatisfaction, the constant gossip of failed relationships, mounting debts, it all filtered back to me through mutual friends. I didn't relish it, but I noticed. I paused, thinking. "She's unraveling slowly. But I'm not the one causing it. Karma has a way of catching up." Liam smirked. "And it's poetic, isn't it?" "Poetic, yes," I admitted. "But I'm torn. Part of me wants to tell her, to show her what I've become. But another part of me knows patience is stronger." Liam leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "You'll know the right time. Let it build. Let her arrogance backfire naturally. That's far more satisfying than confrontation." I nodded slowly. "You're right. I've seen her careless choices, overspending, arguments with her boyfriend. She's blind to the consequences. I just have to stay steady, focused on my own life." The following week, I ran into her at a cafe downtown. Emily, impeccably dressed, waved at me with that same practiced smile. "Look at you, Mr. Big City Entrepreneur," she said, voice dripping with mockery. "I heard you're running some little business. How's that going? Still struggling to pay rent?" I sipped my coffee calmly, meeting her eyes without flinching. "Actually, it's going well. I've gained clients, turned a profit, and learned more in the last few months than I did in years of school." Her smile faltered for a moment before she masked it with laughter. "Wow, must be nice, I guess." I let her flounder a little. "You look busy," I said casually. "How's your job? Still loving it?" Emily's eyes flickered with annoyance. It's fine," she said sharply. "Busy, stressful, nothing like your world, I suppose?" "Yes, nothing like my world," I said softly, letting the subtle satisfaction of growth settle in. I didn't need to mock her. Her life, it seemed, was already providing enough lessons. Liam had told me early on, patience amplifies power. I had seen it in action. Every setback she faced, arguments with her shallow boyfriend, criticism from colleagues, debt notices arriving late at night, was a small confirmation. She had built a world of superficiality, and now reality was nudging her, softly but insistently. I have to remind myself, I whispered later that evening to Sam over the phone, that the point isn't revenge. It's proof that growth, effort and patience matter more than mockery and arrogance. Sam laughed lightly. Sounds like you've got it all figured out. You're no longer the boy she tormented. You're becoming unstoppable. Unstoppable, I repeated. The word felt good, heavy with meaning. Not because I wanted to crush her, but because I had risen. Every risk taken, every sleepless night, every client won, it all had built something real, something she could never touch. Business meetings with Liam were becoming our rituals of strategy. We take calculated risks, he said one morning. We invest wisely. Patience always beats hasty moves. I know, I said, feeling the parallel with Emily. Patience, let karma unfold naturally. No need for overt action. It was more satisfying to watch her struggle while I built something lasting. Later that week, I received a message from a new client. Impressed by your professionalism. Looking forward to working together. I leaned back in my chair, smiling faintly. This growth, recognition, real progress, was my true revenge. Not humiliation, not mockery, not confrontation. Real achievement. Emily could flounder, stumble, and struggle. I would continue building, steady and focused, letting the natural consequences of arrogance and carelessness play out. And when the day came that she realized how far I had come, it would be undeniable, complete, and inevitable. I looked out the office window at the city skyline, lights glittering like promises. Karma in motion, I whispered softly, a smile tugging at my lips. And I'm standing right here watching it unfold. The gala hall shimmered with crystal chandeliers and the low murmur of success. High-profile clients, investors, and socialites milled around, glasses clinking, laughter polished and rehearsed. I adjusted my cufflinks, checking my reflection in the mirror, letting the calm exterior I had cultivated over years settle into place. Mr. Carter, Miss Harris greeted me warmly, extending her hand. Your work with the new project has been exceptional. Truly impressive. Thank you, Miss Harris, I said, shaking her hand with confidence. It's been a team effort, but your guidance helped us push boundaries. She smiled, and I felt the validation pulse quietly through me. This was the world I had fought to reach, the world where hard work mattered more than arrogance or wealth. Then I saw her. Emily. Across the room, in a designer gown, leaning slightly on a friend for support. Her eyes widened, scanning the room until they landed on me. For a moment she froze mid-laugh with her clique. I watched her reaction carefully, letting it simmer. She whispered something to her friend, who leaned in, whispering back with a knowing smirk. Isn't that Carter? The one who... Emily waved a hand sharply. Shoo. Don't embarrass me. I let a faint smile touch my lips. She had no idea I could see her. No idea that the boy she had mocked years ago now moved confidently among the very people she envied. Emily made her way toward me, gliding gracefully but with an awkward stiffness that betrayed her surprise. Michael, she said, voice light but slightly strained. Wow. I didn't expect to see you here. Emily, I said smoothly, nodding. It's been a long time. She blinked, searching for words. Yes, it has. I heard about your company, your projects. It's impressive. Thank you, I replied calmly. It's been a journey. She laughed nervously, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I wanted to. Maybe we could catch up sometime? I tilted my head slightly, letting the faintest hint of irony touch my expression. Perhaps. Though I'm quite occupied these days, Emily. Deadlines, meetings, the usual. Her friend leaned in, whispering something, and Emily's eyes flickered to them, glancing back at me with that forced smile. I thought maybe we could reconnect. Old friends? Old friends, I repeated quietly, savoring the words internally. Funny how time changes things. Emily's smile faltered for just a moment, but she quickly regained composure. Yes, well, you've obviously changed. A lot. So have you, I said softly, letting the subtext hang. It seems life has lessons for everyone. Her friend snickered quietly, glancing at Emily, clearly enjoying the subtle power shift. Emily's eyes flickered, and I could see the envy struggling to mask itself beneath her polished demeanor. I've had some challenges, she admitted, voice slightly tight. Work, life, It's not always as smooth as it looks. I understand, I said evenly, letting calm detachment reinforce the lesson she had failed to learn years ago. Success and stability rarely come without effort, persistence, and sometimes, humility. Emily laughed awkwardly, brushing at her sleeve. Right, humility. Yes. I glanced around the hall, watching her attempt to keep her composure as she realized how far I had risen. The girl who once mocked my shoes, my scholarship, my dreams, now confronted a version of me she had never anticipated. You've really built something remarkable, she said, quieter now, almost admiring. I should have known you would. I allowed a faint, controlled smile. Thank you, Emily. I suppose life teaches us all lessons eventually. She looked away, catching the eyes of another socialite, clearly seeking validation. Her friend whispered something and Emily's shoulders tightened. The contrast between her strained performance and my quiet confidence was satisfying. Miss Harris returned, gently tapping my shoulder. Are you ready for the next presentation? The investors are eager to hear your proposal. Of course, Miss Harris, I said, following her, leaving Emily behind. I glanced over my shoulder once. She stood frozen for a moment, glancing at me again, then at her friend, realization and discomfort evident in her posture. Walking toward the stage, I let myself reflect quietly. Every insult, every humiliation she had caused me, every obstacle she had thrown in my path, it had fueled me. It had built patience, determination, and strategy. And now, observing her subtle shock, her envy, the discomfort of seeing me succeed without fanfare, it was a quiet, complete satisfaction. I didn't need to confront her aggressively. I didn't need to humiliate her back. Life, it seemed, had a way of delivering its own justice. I had risen above her cruelty, and she now confronted the consequences naturally. Michael? A colleague whispered, startling me from my thoughts. Ready? Yes, I said, voice steady, heart calm. I had built something real, tangible, lasting. And Emily, she had only a reflection of my past arrogance to cling to, no understanding of the discipline and persistence it took to get here. I stepped onto the stage, glancing briefly at the audience. And there she was, staring, a flicker of recognition and disbelief in her eyes. I allowed myself a private, quiet smile. Years ago she had laughed at me, mocked me, tried to tear me down. And now, here she was, witnessing the full measure of what I had built, not through luck, charm, or superficiality, but through patience, resilience, and relentless focus. The lights brightened, the applause ready. And I realized something profound. The real triumph wasn't in her noticing me. The real triumph was in knowing I had never let her define my journey. I was here because of me. And Emily finally understood that. The office phone rang just as I was reviewing contracts. Liam glanced at me, eyebrow raised. Trouble? I smiled faintly, letting my calm mask settle. Potential trouble. But I'm ready. Emily's voice came through the line, clipped and confident. Michael, I hear your company is expanding into our market. Interesting choice. Risky, don't you think? Emily, I said smoothly, it's a calculated risk. We've done our research. I appreciate your concern. She laughed lightly, falsely sweet. Concern? Oh, Michael. You're always so polite. Don't let me see you stumble. I leaned back, letting the words hang. I had anticipated this move, the subtle intimidation, the attempt to unsettle me. But years of preparation had sharpened my instincts. Thanks for the warning, I replied evenly. But I prefer to make my own mistakes, if any. You'll find I'm rather careful. She scoffed, hanging up abruptly. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The games had begun. Later that week, I met with a potential client in a downtown cafe. Emily had apparently whispered rumors, little seeds of doubt about my integrity, my capability. The competitor she aligned with tried to leverage it. You're taking a risk trusting him, the competitor said quietly, eyes flicking to me. I hear conflicting things about his past dealings. I smiled, calm and steady. Conflicting things usually come from people who feel threatened. Check my records, my references. I believe actions speak louder than whispers. The competitor hesitated, frowning. Right, but it's Emily's word. She's persuasive. Perhaps, I said lightly. Or perhaps she underestimates the person she's trying to undermine. By the end of the meeting, the client had shaken hands with me, visibly reassured. I could feel the subtle ripple of victory. Not gloating, just satisfaction at careful strategy paying off. That evening, Liam sat across from me, tapping his pen. She tried, didn't she? She did, I said quietly, reflecting. but I anticipated her moves. The whispers, the subtle intimidation, all predictable. I turned them into opportunities to reinforce trust, credibility, and patience. Liam nodded. You make it look effortless. Most people would have reacted emotionally, sabotaging themselves. I took a deep breath, thinking of the years it had taken to cultivate this calm. It's bittersweet. Part of me wants to savor her discomfort. Another part wonders if she even realizes the damage she's caused herself. Karma doesn't need my hands, but it helps to watch it unfold. A few days later, Emily appeared at a networking event, radiant and confident, or so she thought. I observed quietly from a distance as she tried to charm contacts. Her whispers about me backfired. Colleagues raised questions, deals hesitated, and subtle doubts crept into her carefully constructed image. One junior associate leaned toward her. Emily, are you sure about this deal? I've heard concerns. Her confident smile faltered for a brief moment, masked quickly. I'm confident, she said. But I saw it, the tiny flicker of panic, the first cracks in her armor. Later she stormed toward me, voice sharp. Michael, you've been undermining me. I don't know how, but you've turned everything around. I raised an eyebrow, voice even. Emily, I haven't undermined anything. I anticipated challenges, managed risks, and focused on my work. Perhaps what you see as undermining is simply competence. Her face flushed, and her friend hovered nervously behind her, whispering reassurance. I let the moment linger. No mockery. No gloating. Just calm, undeniable presence. You don't understand, she said, frustration slipping. I had leverage. Leverage only works if you're prepared, I said softly. If you misjudge patience, preparation, and skill, leverage can become liability. She glared, words failing her. Her social reputation, professional credibility, and subtle power had all begun to shift. The same humiliation I had endured years ago now mirrored back at her, quietly, effectively, without spectacle. I walked away toward the window, letting the city lights settle my thoughts. Revenge wasn't sweet. Not entirely. I felt a complex mix of satisfaction and empathy. She had made choices, cultivated arrogance, and allowed cruelty to guide her actions. Watching her stumble wasn't joy, it was acknowledgement that life's lessons often arrive in subtle, inescapable ways. Liam appeared beside me, nodding toward Emily's retreating figure. She doesn't get it yet, does she? No, I said softly. And that's okay. The lesson will land eventually. I don't need to enforce it directly. Strategy is stronger than confrontation. Karma, patience, and preparation, that's enough. I returned to my desk, picking up the files I'd set aside. Every deal, every client, every small victory was proof that hard work, foresight, and ethical strategy could outweigh arrogance and deception. And Emily, she would learn that too. In her own way, in her own time. I allowed a quiet smile, not for triumph over her, but for myself. I had survived, grown, and mastered both patience and strategy. Revenge, it seemed, was not about cruelty or spectacle. It was about watching justice unfold through the careful application of effort, foresight, and resilience. And in that moment I realized it was complete. The morning sun spilled across my office, golden and calm, as if the world had paused for a moment. I sipped my coffee, letting the warmth ground me. Liam was reviewing quarterly reports, and Sam had just arrived, grinning. Busy as ever? Sam said, shaking his head. I still can't believe how far you've come. I didn't do it alone, I said quietly. I had help. Guidance, patience, people who believed when I didn't always believe myself. Liam looked up, smirking. And a little grudge never hurt either, right? I chuckled, shaking my head. Maybe. Motivation comes in many forms. But it wasn't just revenge. It was focus, strategy, patience. Sam leaned against the table. Speaking of Emily, I saw her yesterday at that fundraiser. She looked different. Humble. Quiet. Not the same girl from school. I took a slow breath, letting the thought settle. Emily had changed. Not because of me directly, but because life had finally caught up. She walked more cautiously now, listened more than she spoke, and avoided unnecessary confrontation. Indirectly, I felt her apology. Her actions had shifted. No words were needed. She's realized a lot, I said softly. Maybe some things I endured weren't wasted after all. Do you want to see her? Talk to her? Liam asked. I shook my head, calm and deliberate. No. Closure doesn't require confrontation. The point isn't to prove anything anymore. The point is knowing who I am, what I've achieved, and how I've grown. Sam smiled knowingly. You've earned this peace. Really. It hadn't been easy to arrive here. I remembered nights filled with doubt, humiliation, sleepless hours studying, working, planning. Every insult, every sneer, every moment of being underestimated had fueled me. And now, standing in the quiet of my success, I realized something profound. Growth wasn't just about financial stability, reputation, or revenge. It was resilience, emotional strength, and self-respect. Liam leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. So, what now? You've conquered the past, handled Emily, built the business. What's next? I smiled faintly, looking out the window at the city skyline. Next is life. More challenges, more growth. But this time, I face them prepared, confident. I've learned patience, strategy, and how to rise above cruelty without letting it define me. Sam nudged me gently. And you've got us in your corner. Don't forget that. Of course, I said, warmth spreading in my chest. I couldn't have done any of this without you too. Not just support, perspective, reality checks, encouragement when I needed it most. Liam grinned. And a bit of egging on when revenge was appropriate, he added with a wink. I laughed quietly. A necessary push, yes. But I've learned, true strength is measured not in retaliation, but in integrity and persistence. Later that afternoon, I attended a small networking event, mingling quietly. Across the room, I caught sight of Emily again. She hesitated when she saw me, eyes downcast, posture reserved. I didn't approach her, didn't need to. Recognition and reflection were enough. Her subtle nod, a half smile, her careful avoidance of boasting, it spoke volumes. I whispered softly to myself, growth isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about proving yourself to yourself. A young entrepreneur approached me, nervous but eager. Mr. Carter, I followed your journey. Your company, your leadership, it's inspiring. Any advice? I smiled, leaning slightly closer. Focus on your work, learn from setbacks, and never let someone else define your value. Patience and consistency beat shortcuts every time. She nodded, taking notes eagerly. And as I guided her through strategy, I realized this. Mentorship, growth, and influence was the truest measure of my success. Not revenge. Not recognition. Not even Emily noticing. Sam appeared beside me, whispering, You okay? I am, I said, voice calm. I've made peace with the past. I'm proud, satisfied, but never complacent. Life will keep testing me and I'll be ready. Liam joined us, holding a glass. To growth, resilience, and strategy, he said with a grin. I lifted my own glass, eyes meeting theirs. To patience, perseverance, and self-respect. And to the journey, every step, even the painful ones, mattered. The city lights outside glimmered as dusk approached. I felt a quiet satisfaction, a soft hum of completeness. Emily's indirect apology, her changed demeanor, was a gentle confirmation, not a requirement. I didn't need her approval. I had already earned my own. I never thought I'd make it this far, I admitted quietly, more to myself than anyone. But I have. And now, I'm ready for whatever comes next. Sam nudged me again. The real victory, huh? Not her downfall. Yours. I nodded, letting the truth of that sink in fully. Years of struggle, humiliation, and careful strategy had led to this moment. Triumph wasn't about hurting others, it was about growing beyond them, becoming someone unshakable. Exactly, I said. And the best part? I know I can face the future no matter what. The night settled around the city, lights twinkling like possibilities. I took a deep breath, feeling gratitude, satisfaction, and a quiet joy. I had risen, endured, and learned. And the journey was only beginning.